James, climate change and the Paris Climate Accord, it's based on a radical ideology. I talk about it on this program a lot, and that is, where did the communists go after the fall of the Berlin Wall? Well, they went into the green movement, and that's why we have so many activists. And I think good, meaning Americans and people around the country get sucked into this thing. But bottom line, their conclusions are not based on scientific method. They're based more on consensus, and that's not what science is all about.
Right, and even saying that it's based on consensus is giving them a little more benefit of the doubt than they deserve because there's not the consensus they claim. Basically, their predictions are based on nothing more than speculation and computer models that are programmed by people who've already staked their reputations on a climate crisis. So they put in inputs that are designed to give a very significant warming in the future. But we know based on the scientific method, when we test these theories, when we look at the actual temperature increases, when we look at the actual impacts, we're not seeing a crisis at all. What we're seeing is modest warming and impacts that, if anything, are making the world more beneficial to human health and welfare.
And so the IPCC, which is a wing of the United Nations, goes out there and hawks this stuff. But the bottom line is this: it fails to withstand the scrutiny under the scientific method. In other words, there are several elements that go into the scientific method, but one of them is peer review, and this goes to what you're talking about, consensus. There is not consensus. There is not consensus that mankind is causing climate change, aka global warming.
Well, 2 points here. First of all, regarding the scientific method, it is so important that we vigorously test, we challenge our own theories, and we encourage others to do the same. And what we have with the climate alarmists is they vilify anybody who performs the scientific method and says you are attacking science by engaging in the scientific method. That is turning science on its head. Second, regarding consensus, the real issues between alarmists and skeptics aren't whether the Earth has warmed. The Earth has warmed. But really the questions are how much is being caused by humans, and most importantly, what are the expected impacts? And when we present those questions to scientific scrutiny, we find that the alarmists are overstating the case.
The Earth is not burning up. It's warming up, but it's not burning up, as these folks will lead you to believe, and we're on some sort of doomsday countdown clock for 12 years from now, and we're all going to die. It's a slow warm, and the Earth has increased its temperature at a modest rate, and this is actually not necessarily a bad thing when you factor in CO2 emissions. Now, we all went to 5th grade, I think, and we remember our biology classes, and we know what CO2 is to our environment. It helps plants, and we're actually seeing this result in the production of agriculture. Is that right?
Right. Carbon dioxide in the atmosphere helps plants grow. Scientists have measured, it's objectively proven that there has been a substantial greening of the Earth in recent decades because of more atmospheric carbon dioxide. That is leading to record crop production that's occurring virtually every year, defying the predictions of climate alarmists. And one other point that's important to note is the warming that we're getting, and you correctly point out, it's a warming, it's a modest warming. It's coming from the depths of the Little Ice Age, which ended a little over 100 years ago, and that was the coldest period of the past 10,000 years, and it brought all sorts of harm to human health and welfare. The warming we're experiencing is something that's bringing us close to what is the normal, and something that humans have benefited on.
We always ask plaintively, how did the ice ages end, in our Earth's past? Well, probably some global warming going on there. But you go in the report, you go to the third rail, fossil fuels, which I think is the third rail that a lot of people don't want to touch in connection with phony climate change and the environmental nutcases. But the bottom line is conventional fossil fuels, the conclusion is, enable America and the rest of the world to dramatically improve living standards during recent centuries. And these efforts by governments to reduce this fossil fuel emissions can end up doing more harm than good.
Absolutely. It's affordable energy that has allowed us to increase our living standards so much, especially in America, but around the world during the past century. And it's amazing that the environmental left has succeeded in making coal and oil dirty words and subjects of hatred. Without these energy sources, we would be living in much lower living standards. And replacing them today, even if wind power and solar power are getting a little more affordable, there are still substantially higher costs than what are involved for coal and oil. So if we want to reduce our living standards, by all means, get us off of conventional energy and bring on the wind and solar.
Yeah,
But I don't think most Americans want that.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.